Debate for Florida Senate District 18 between Republican Dana Young, Senator Dana Young, and Democratic Representative Janet Cruz. I'd like everyone to please stand at this time to say the Pledge of Allegiance, if you don't mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As always, I'd like you to please check our website for our upcoming programs, tigerbayclub.com, or follow us on Facebook and RSVP and make your reservations early. And thanks for the sold out crowd today. But the best way to keep in touch with us is to join the club. If you want to ask a question, that'll come up later, and it costs you $75 for the year. And our Heather Tempester, our executive director, is back there to take your money if you want to be part of the program. So first off, I'd like to thank our sponsors today. Representative Janet Cruz bought a whole table and is a sponsor, prime sponsor. Thank you, Janet. And of course, Dana bought a table as well and being one of our prime sponsors. Thank you. We also have Mark Proctor as one of our sponsors. Mark's a regular sponsor. Thank you, Mark, for and what else? Okay. Our next special program is Friday, October 19th, where we plan to host a forum for the candidates running statewide for Attorney General and Commissioner of Agriculture, so keep updated for that. First, I want to recognize our Tiger Bay board members who do a lot of hard work to keep this place together. We'll start over here. Say hi. Lee, thank you. Peggy? Thank you, Peggy. Martha?
Marcus Kim, Secretary.
Andrew?
Andrew Moose, I'm the money guy, your treasurer.
Yes.
Matt Dersheimer.
Matt?
Mindy Murphy.
Mindy, thank you. Mark, thank you. Moving back over here. Yes.
Diane Edgar.
Diane, thank you very much. Yvonne?
Yvonne Fly, Vice Chair Program.
Thank you, Yvonne, our Vice Chair Program. Thank you.
And Adam Dander, immediate past president.
Al?
I'm afraid I'm independent on the board. I'm the dog on the board.
Thank you, Al. He's our independent as well. Okay, now we're going to go around and recognize our elected officials, starting on this end. Mark, since you're up.
The elected to the Hillsborough Soil and Water Conservation District.
Soil and water is very important. Moving over here, anybody elected officials? Yes.
Julianne Holt, Public Defender.
Julie Hill, thank you for being here. Thank you, Susan. Guido?
Guido Maniscalco, Tampa City Council, District 6.
Well, I guess Janet's going to get your own special introduction. Anybody else over here? No? Okay. Thank you for now candidates. This is one thing special about Tiger Bay. We allow candidates to say hi. So, Jackie?
State Representatives, District 15.
Thank you, Jackie. Candidates for office, yes.
Representative Tucker Morrison for Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Deborah?
Deborah Blonte, Representative, State District 60. Actually, candidate District 60 State Representative.
Thank you.
Hi, Bill Carlson, Tampa City Council, District 4.
Robert Michelle, candidate, Circuit Court Judge, Group 25.
Thank you. Jose?
Jose Vasquez, writing candidate for District 62.
Thank you, Jose. Moving over. Oh, yes, Michael.
Michael Isaac, I'm running for Hillsborough County Court Judge, Group number 8.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, yes, go ahead.
Craig Newman, running for City Council, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. John?
I'm former City Councilman John Binkfelder, running to return to City Council District 3 and timekeeper.
And I was going to get to that. Kimberly?
Kimberly Overman, Hillsborough County Commission, District 7.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Bill.
Bill Person, School Board District 1.
Thank you, Bill. I'm sorry.
Ella Coffey, Tampa City Council, District 5.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else running for office that I missed? Okay. Okay, good, thanks. Okay, I want to make a special shout out and a thank you to our broadcast partners at Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network, TBAE.net. They broadcast all of our programs on TBAE, and they also archive the programs. So if you want to go back and see the programs that we've done in the past on issues, it's on channel 636 on Spectrum Cable, and on formerly on Frontier Files is channel 34. And if you want to go online, it's tbae.net. So thank you guys from TBA for being here. Our Garfield Committee, Al McCrae, Gary Dolchin, and Adam, our former president for me. Adam Vander, thank you for being one of the judges today to pick who's going to have the best question and get that cute little tiger. Program rules, of course. I'm going to go over this. You have to be a member of Tiger Bay, and again, you can join up right away for $75. Heather can take your cash check or credit card. Tiger Bay members only have 30 seconds to ask a question, and John Dingfelder will be holding up his little sign to cut you off, and when we announce our moderator, she will also cut you up, and she's a lot tougher than I am. Our speakers will be given 1 minute each to introduce themselves at the very beginning, and then you'll have a minute each to answer the questions. A moderator will have the option, if she wishes, to grant additional time if she deems necessary by the opponents. And then, of course, our moderator will point to the audience where she'd like for me to take the questions from, and I'll go ahead and present the microphone to the person who's raised her hand that we recognize. Okay, so our moderator today is a very distinguished and recently retired university professor at the University of South Florida in the Department of Government and International Affairs. For numerous election cycles, she serves as a political analyst for WFLA TV News Channel 8 and ABC Action News here in Tampa. And she's been a featured columnist for Safley Review as well. She's a widely read Florida-based political website, which is Safley Review. She's appeared as a panelist and was nominated for a Suncoast Emmy Award. She's appeared on every major broadcast, cable television, and radio network, and been interviewed by every major newspaper in Florida, the United States, and even overseas. She is Florida's most quoted political scientist. But you may not know she's quite an author. She's written a book called Politics in Florida, Young versus Old, Generational Combat in the 21st Century, Targeting Senior Voters. And what's also interesting is she and her mom, Elizabeth, are authors of 2 local Florida history books, Citrus, Sawmills, Critters and Crackers, and Going, Almost Gone, the Lutz Lagna Lake Pioneers Share Their Precious Memories. Because as you may not know, she was kind of raised in that neck of the woods up in North Hillsborough County near Lutz and Lagna Lakes. Of course, she received her master's degree from the University of Michigan. And the one thing we do have in common is we both were political science majors at the Florida State University. But of course, Susan got a PhD and I majored in BS. So let's please give a warm welcome applause to Dr. Susan.
Thank you very much. I am just a cracker girl from Cruz, so nice to be here. And I'm very, very honored to be asked to moderate this session this morning, and very honored that both candidates have agreed to do this. And I would just like to give you a brief look at this district, the composition, the makeup. 36.5% registered Democrats, 34.1% Republican, 28.6% NPAs. It is one of the top 5 races in the whole country. And my goal here today is to give both of these candidates the dignity that they deserve to be able to give their viewpoints on key issues. It is not to do gotcha politics. It is to respect the public's right to know, and both of these women are accomplished legislators, and both love the community that they're trying to serve. So let's just get that straight right away. So with that, I think our 2 candidates step forward. And each will have a minute. Each each will have a minute to make an introduction, and I am old school, so you'll be referring to them by their titles rather than their first names. So let's start with alphabetically an opening statement by Representative Cruz.
Well, I bet you always get the short end of that stick, Danny, for last name, but.
I was the D before that.
I just want to thank everyone for being here, and I know that my time is limited, but I also want to let you know that people like me don't usually get to run for office. Because of my struggles as a young person, because of my struggles as a teen mom, because of the family that I grew up in, you face financial struggles, you face personal struggles. So the fact that I'm here and rose to the ranks of minority House Leader, the first Hispanic woman to do that, I'm very proud of that distinction. And that's why, in spite of not having a perfect profile, I run for office. I run for office for those women, and those single moms that want strong public education for their children. I run for the expansion of health care coverage for working families that don't have any health care coverage. I run for the 17 students that died in Parkland and the child that dies every 17 hours from gun violence.
Thank you, Senator Young.
Thank you, and I'm struggling with whether I want to stand up or sit down. I think I'm going to stand up if that's okay with everybody, that way you can see me. So I'm Senator Dana Young. I have represented this district in the Florida Senate for 2 years, and prior to that, I represented South Tampa and part of Carrollwood in that area in the Florida House of Representatives. Like Representative Cruz, I was the leader of my party. I was the majority leader of the House for 2 years and the majority whip for 2 years prior to that. I'm an environmental lawyer by trade, and I too have a political science degree from Florida State University. But now I am also the proud empty nest mother of 2 children in college. And my daughter Carson is coming home today for the weekend, so I'm very excited that I can see my freshman daughter and make sure that she's still all in one piece and sleeping occasionally. But it has just truly been my honor to serve this area. I have been an effective legislator because I am all about finding common sense solutions to difficult problems, and I've never had a hard time working with the other party. I'm always willing to compromise. Thank you.
Great, thank you both. My first question is to you, in the era of negative politics, what is the one thing that you would like to correct for the record that you think is rumbling about in the community? We'll start with Senator Young first. A minute to each.
Perfect. I think the perfect place to start here is with the school safety and gun reform bill. This was one of the most important pieces of legislation the legislature has passed in the past probably 10 to 15 years. And I want to tell you that I was an absolute staunch supporter of that bill. My opponent was not. She voted no. Let's talk about why. Or I don't know why she would vote no. Without this bill, 18-year-olds would still be able to buy assault weapons and rifles. Without this bill, we would still have over 100 schools in Hillsborough County that do not have a school safety officer. Without this bill, we would not have a 3-day wait period for every single purchase of a weapon. Without this bill, we would not have $400 million for school safety and mental health in our schools. We need to figure out why these people do not value human life. We need to understand why the mental health system is breaking down. But I think most importantly, are the risk protection orders in this bill. 20 mentally unstable people that are violent in this county have lost their weapons, had them seized under this bill, and they're locked up in Chad Chronister's office because of the risk protection orders. And I'm proud to be a supporter, and I'd love to hear why Representative Cruz voted no.
Representative Cruz, this will not count as your thing you would like to correct for the message. This is a response. Yes.
Oh, great. I mean, isn't that hilarious, Dana? Honestly. I mean, take a look at Dana's votes.
I don't think anything about gun violence is hilarious.
Take a look at her votes on guns in the House. When she was elected and she came in with the Tea Parties, she was all about campus carry. She was all about open carry. She was all about any gun bill that she could pass to appease her base and the Tea Party. A child is shot every 17 hours, and you come to us with a Parkland bill and you say you're proud of that bill. That bill did not ban assault rifles. That bill did not go far enough. It was not the solution. It was not the solution. You know what we did? We put guns in the classroom. And you know, all of the other provisions, the solution is more funding. The solution is mental health care. It's funding for hardening our schools, getting weapons of war off the street, and an assault weapon ban. This woman sent out a mailer lying across the amendment with an assault rifle with a AAA rating from the NRA, and she's damn proud of it. But now, all of a sudden, that she's in a blue seat, she is changing her story.
Yeah.
Next is that Representative Cruz, what's the one thing that you think needs corrected about your record?
How about lies? How about if we take a look at the homestead exemption that I had? These attacks are not true, and the paper substantiated that and said it was, they called it dishonest. I paid my taxes. When it was brought to my attention, I realized that there was an error, and I went down, I self-reported, went down to the tax collector's office, and I made a one-time mistake in my calculations. I paid every dime that was due. I paid fees, and I paid penalties. So the taxpayers made out ahead on this by that. So it was a mistake. But what really, you know, the voters have a choice here. They can support an honest person who made a mistake, or they can do what Dana is doing, and they would rather resort to political attacks to hide her legislative missteps. That's what's really happening here. So that's it, damn it, Dana.
All right, let's get a little bit more civil here. The next question has to do with a policy issue. You all are both accomplished legislators. You know how the process works. I'm going to ask you an issue area, and please inform the audience as to what would be your top priority bill that you would file on this issue if elected. The first question is, what is your top priority in terms of dealing with transportation? So we'll start with Senator Young.
Thank you very much. And I actually will refile a bill that I filed last year, which moved money from a defunct fund in the Florida Department of Transportation to Miami-Dade County and the Tampa Bay area. Here, it would utilize $25 million of recurring funding to look at alternative transportation, innovative transportation projects that we could put in place here that would help relieve some of the congestion outside of typical road building. This would be autonomous buses, Hyperloop, if that technology is in place, ferries, just really anything, and it would be a competitive process. So the brightest minds in these areas would be competing with one another for these $25 million a year funds. I will refile that bill, that the funding would go to TBARTA, which is our Regional Transportation Agency, and hopefully we can build on that. Thank you.
Representative Cruz.
And I would be happy to co-sponsor that bill, or perhaps refile it when I win in the Senate. And I'll tell you why. Because this is what happened in 2011, again, when there was the Tea Party wave and everybody thought that that would reign supreme. People, the leadership refused to draw down the federal transportation dollars. That we wouldn't even have to be addressing this today. We could be using that money, could have used that money for years for transportation. But you know what? We let politics got in the way of policy, and that is wrong. Look at our streets now. We're suffering. We became a donor state for those taxes. Our money that we refused to draw down went to other states. So thank you very much.
All right, to each of you, real quick, yes or no, do you support the transportation tax that's going on the ballot? Representative Cruz.
Yes.
Senator Young.
Probably. I want to say, excuse me, I don't think that that's polite. I was going to say, I probably am going to support it, but right now I have not seen the full proposal. I understand I'm going to be rolling it out next week, and before I'm going to vote to raise your taxes, I'm going to get the full extent of it, but I probably will be supporting it.
All right, next issue question, and then we'll toss it to the crowd, maybe one more after this. In the area of education, what's the #1 bill that you would file when you